Oh man, what a brutal day. Not anticipated, but crazy nonsense happened. It actually happened Thursday, but I was made aware of it yesterday late as I fell asleep mid afternoon and then woke up and found a unpleasant surprise that required me to be up. And because I had taken a nap in the middle when I didn't expect to, fortunately I wasn't crazy tired, but I still didn't expect the unpleasant surprise I received, which required me to stay up late and create a plan of attack. And then, of course, execute that plan pretty much at like 1 a.m. in the morning to get things rolling. And the people I needed weren't yet available, but I suspected they would come around. And then, of course, today, this morning, I got responses giving me at least some assurance that something would be done. Now, unfortunately, this may or may not pan. I'm optimistic, but who knows? Short story, if it doesn't work, then there may need to be a hiatus from the various podcasts briefly while I sort this nonsense out. That's the current theory. I don't know how it's going to go. I've got stuff out there, but I've hit that point now where I'm kind of sick of it. And it's all thanks to the government and them dragging their feet because I'm owed, at this point, thousands and thousands of dollars from various government agencies who have refused to pay me what I'm owed. So now I'm kind of getting to the point I'm not going to take it anymore. So as I get that solved, I decided and I got my taxes finally done, and it was a pain because I had a lot of capital gains and crypto reporting and things that didn't apply throughout 2021. But I got it all done and it's all sorted, and it's actually decently good news because that's yet another government agency that owes me thousands of dollars because of the refund and credits. And of course, I don't have kids, Hercules, and such. I was not eligible for the child tax credit. That's not really a credit, it's more in advance. So I was able to maximize the money that's coming back to me. That's always good. But after I finished my taxes and got everything sorted out, and it took hours for me to get through it, but after I got it done, by the way, shout out to Tax Act. I've used them for over a decade now. Back when I was a kid, I was using them to file taxes for other people. I say kid, it's like 18 years old. But I was using them to file taxes for other people. Hadn't used them for a while because I had switched over to H&R Block. But in this situation, I need something a little bit faster, and I got back into theirs for the first time since they had been bought out. And it was a pretty smooth experience. There was a couple of hiccups, but the final form that came out, I was very impressed with the experience. So if you are like I am needing to get the taxes filed, Tax Act would be what I'd recommend. They're not paying me. I wish they would. But Tax Act, taxact.com, you can do it online. Federal is free. State will cost you if you're not in a state that where you have to file a form, then you'll be charged for the state. But other than that, the free is going to do you for 80% of it. For this update, though, after I did the taxes and my frustration with what was going on and just being absolutely at wit's end with the nonsense that I was encountered with and only knew about because of my security camera, it occurred to me, it's time. I hyped it. I promised it. I said it's coming, and I purposely did not share the full episode. However, the full episode did get found because the guest in question shared it out, and appreciate shout out to Bleeves because Bleeves shared out the full episode on a link a little while ago. But I wanted to do a build. I like hype. I like this to sell it. Let it marinate a little bit. Build your demand because we again, I call it like filet mignon. You're talking like a main course of content and quality of his programming. So I felt like I wanted to segment the episode out into parts. And I gave you part one where he broke down from his perspective some of the issues with a lot of these devs with cryptocurrencies. But I need to now give you the main course. In addition to the filet mignon, there's other pieces to the main course. If you listen to the full episode, you've heard this. If you didn't, this is your time to finally hear a story that is lesser told. And I'm going to do this a little bit unique. This is going to be one of the longest episodes, I think, on YouTube. And I will treat it as YouTube exclusive because the podcast listeners already have access to pretty much all of this content already at cryptotalkradio.net. You can go back in the archives, and all of this information is captured at various points. But I figured for the YouTube listeners, because that's growing, it's growing fast, I wanted to at least give you a summation of what got us to this point. If you haven't heard of the token used to be called, and it's still out there, but Keanu Inu, there's a wide variety of information that was lost when that token failed. And I say failed and I put it in quotes because although it did fail, the token still exists. You could theoretically still buy it. It's on Ethereum, it's still out there. L-Bank still has it for trade. However, there are things in flight in order to, and there's a whole community of people that are kind of waiting in the wings for what's coming. But there's this massive amount of data behind what happened. And the key here is to try to use that information, learn from what happened, and parallel it against other tokens that you're probably exposed to, one of which them being Saitama, because there's a lot of close parallels in what we saw there versus what we see with Saitama and even other tokens. And we should learn, ideally, from the lessons of the past to when we do our investments to look out for tokens that look good on the surface and then due to things that go wrong with people. It's not even that the token's bad, it's that something goes wrong with people and then things don't go right. Bleeves was right there. He was in the thick of it and he shared a lot of information when he was right in the thick of it. And he's probably one of the best to go to with this information. I shared information early on, again, at cryptotalkradio.net that came from an investor perspective because I bought into Keanu. It was one of the first ones, not the, but one of the first ones I bought into right before the thing had crashed, essentially. And I shared a lot of this background story, and there were pieces I got wrong, and it came because I had gone into the Telegram, and there was a gal there, and I'm pretty sure it said Jill, but there was a gal there who said she was just another investor trying to tell people what had happened because the dev had disappeared. So as she's sharing this information, I'm seeing all these bits and bobs about what happened and what went wrong, and then I hear about Satama. And then Satama's starting to do things where it sounds very similar. And I did more coverage around Satama and Keanu, where I'm saying, seems like we're kind of not learning from the mistakes of the past. Now, for those on YouTube who didn't get a chance, and I still encourage you to go to cryptotalkradio.net and dial into the actual podcast, but for those that didn't get to hear it, I'm going to share a lot of this synopsis for you from Bleeves. This snippet that came that was exclusively recorded on the podcast is now available to you. And if you were not in it, I want you to take it and use it so you can learn. It's not for you to, if you want to buy it, take the risk, that's on you. What we should do ideally, though, is learn from that information, learn from that experience, learn when we say, often the token can be as solid as we think it is, but just because of mistakes from people, we're too ambitious, we make the wrong decisions, whatever it is, and it tanks an otherwise solid project. That's the story of Keanu Inu. So if you weren't in it, I think that should be your takeaway. If you were in it, then here, if you never heard the story, or perhaps like me, you heard misinformation when you were in the Telegram way back when, here for the first time on YouTube from our channel, to be specific, because Bleeves has covered it on his channel, but I want to cover it here and I want to kind of contrast it as well with my notes and thoughts. So you had the perspective of what was going on back then. Let me get right into this. And again, this this is important for all of us to learn and to embrace our this is what drives our thought process or should when we're assessing cryptocurrencies and why I always say often it's just about the team and whether we trust the team to actually perform and do what they say they're going to do, hold them accountable. Things like this and the story you hear, this is why it's, I think, more important. It's less so about the code these days and more about trust of the developers, even when they're not malicious in intent. But sometimes developers get in over their heads. This is possibly the net effect of when that happens. I got into, because you mentioned at the top, I got into, I can look at blockchain, I don't remember exacts, but I remember I got into Keanu Inu after they had the allegedly going to have the Vegas event, release their Matrix wallet. This was a big announcement. And then I saw something that said it didn't work and it didn't happen. And it dipped huge. And then I bought in off that dip. And then I was holding it all the way through. When did you buy in before that event? And were you around that chatter leading up to that event?
I was in as an investor on hour number 3.
Oh.
And interestingly enough, I was looking for a token. And this is just the greatest, funniest coincidence that could ever happen. I was interested in crypto. I had a few holdings in crypto, nothing that was lighting the world on fire, but something that I had gotten just kind of was losing on was a token called New Cipher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I'm sitting on New Cipher and I read an article, and the article says that they are talking about getting with another token and that they were going to merge, and it was going to be called Keanu. And I said, well, that's kind of a cool idea. I wonder when that's going to come out. And I look on
Hmm.
Twitter and I type in Keanu. And as soon as I type in Keanu, I put crypto at the end. And then all of a sudden, Keanu Inu pops up right away. And I'm like, well, this is a dog token like Shiba. Maybe I should take a shot.
Hmm.
Not because I think that these guys are brilliant, that I think these guys have any ideas, that they even know what's going on, but how could you not win with a name like Keanu? So, and you're laughing because I think you felt the same way. Like when
Yeah.
you see it, you're like, how can this not succeed?
Yeah.
So I went in right away, and I only went in for like $200. Within 3 days, it was 5,000.
Yeah.
Just like that, just like that. It blew up, and because I was new to crypto, I didn't sell. So I sat and watched it decline and decline and decline and decline. Then I started like, you know what? Nobody's talking about it on YouTube. And that's literally what got me started on YouTube with doing videos. And I think if you go back and look at like my first video, it's like me walking my dogs down the street doing videos, telling people about this new token called Keanu Inu and stuff like that. And I don't even know if I was pronouncing it right at the time. Um, but I started doing it. And then the next thing I know, some of the development team reached out to me and they were like, hey, man, we appreciate what you're doing. And I was just a member of their chat. And then at some point, uh, I got offered come into the admin chat, and they had a structured layer where there was a development chat and there was an admin chat. So they invited me into the admin chat, made me an admin in the channel and
This
stuff
is
like that. And I'm like,
Discord, by the
great.
way.
No, it was Telegram,
It was Telegram. Okay.
and I became an admin in the channel, and then I just continued to do the videos. And as I was doing the videos, um, it just kind of started to manifest itself, and I got more and more information. Well, as we were going along, we started to get details, and I started to get annoyed
Mm.
because in my life I know how businesses run. I know what you should and shouldn't do, and some of the things that they were doing seemed silly to me. Not horrible, just silly. And I remember having a conversation. We were in one of those big chats as we were talking about events that were going to lead up to what was going to eventually evolve into this whole event. And it was not Vegas, it was actually Tampa, Florida, at a place called the Red Door.
Florida. Okay.
And what was going on was we were looking for this way to meet Keanu Reeves because, the goal of anything named Keanu is you want to meet Keanu Reeves. Let's face it. So we thought, like, how do we get Keanu Reeves to just do a quick video? And my first instinct was like Cameo.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, he's not on social media, so you got to be better than that in order to get something out of him. And Keanu. And then I said, and I even asked one of the girls in our chat, I'm like, would you dress up like Trinity to do like Trinity type images and stuff like that? Like, I was like, her husband was a photographer, and I was like, is there any chance that you would dress up like Trinity and like do pictures like that? And then uh, um, uh, maybe we can get Lawrence Fishburne or somebody who's involved, or
Mm.
Carrie Ann Moss. Maybe we can get somebody who's involved in this whole thing to do a cameo. Like these are my ideas because they seem logical to me.
Yeah.
And our marketing guy at the time was saying, no, 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 no. We've got this worked out. We got a meeting with these people, and these things are going on. And then in the course of business, I said, okay, what you're saying is ridiculous. Like it, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why don't you just go directly to Keanu Reeves and go to his agent and ask? And then we're told, no, we have an angle. So then they explained that the angle, and this is going to get so crazy. So their angle and their idea was Keanu Reeves' little known best friend in life is Ice Cube.
Mm.
So when he's not filming and Ice Cube is not out filming or doing anything, they apparently hang out together quite a lot, which means that anybody associated with Ice Cube probably knows Keanu Reeves in some way. And they are approached by a gentleman who says, well, I know Ice Cube's cousin. Max Sean. And we sign an agreement with Max Sean through this guy, and this guy starts to send us T-shirts and designs and logos and things like that. And these guys are really happy with what they're seeing, and we're getting like handheld videos of this guy's. And it turns out the guy is actually someone um, in the licensing of T-shirts and stuff like that.
Yep.
And he starts showing these T-shirts with the Keanu logo, our little dog head on it, and Disney stuff, and the NBA stuff, and Michael Jordan. We have a Michael Jordan Keanu, and Michael Jordan Lakers jersey, or not a but a Lakers jersey with Keanu head on it, and just then we have a Black Panther and
Mm.
Captain America and stuff like that. And these guys are like, "This is awesome. This guy's got the license to that." And I'm like, "You don't. That's not how licensing works. There's
Mm.
something wrong here. You can't just marry all of these different things with your crypto. It doesn't work that way. Like that's and even if it's not crypto, it's got to be a license. So I said, something's wrong here. Then he gets us Max Sean 100. Max Sean 100 does a video saying he is so hyped to be involved and part of the process and stuff like that. Then we hear that not only are we going to have this event hosted by Max Sean, we're going to have Keanu Reeves do a cameo um, by it's just going to be a video on the screen,
Right.
and he's just going to say, "Keanu Inu, you guys are the future." That's it. That's all. That's
Mhm.
all this is. Just a hype video with Keanu Reeves giving a thumbs up, saying this is the future. And we're told that his agent says that he's filming. He's finishing filming at the time. I think it was the last parts of the Matrix or something like that. That's going back into the past summer,
Yeah. Yeah.
or that he was doing John Wick. So he was doing something. He was going to be off, and he was going to do the video and stuff like that. And it just kept getting pushed back and kept getting pushed back and kept getting pushed back. And the only thing that was there was Max Sean 100, and he seemed to be like he was all in seemingly on it. He doesn't have anything to do with crypto. But then we were told that here's what's going to happen. Now we're going to have an event. The event is getting bigger. The event is now going to be at the Red Room venue in Tampa, and it's going to be 100 big time investors, including WWE wrestlers, local icons in Tampa.
Mhm.
And what they're going to do is he's going to bring in all of these investors, and we're going to have this event. Max Sean 100 is going to be there. And then there's going to be two screens. On one screen, it's going to be a surprise appearance by Ice Cube. On the other screen is going to be a surprise appearance by Snoop Dogg. And then there's going to be a big screen in the center. And at the end of it, you're going to see Keanu Reeves, Keanu Inu, you guys are the future. It's something like that. And what ends up happening is none of it. This guy uh, that they gave this money to, not only did he take the money and then not pay Max Sean, because Max Sean came to us and said, "Hey, where's my money?" Not
Mhm.
only did that all happen, but uh, along the way, this guy also went to Keanu Reeves' agent, and instead of trying to give, this is what we are, this is Keanu Inu, he said, "Hey, can I get your likeness and can I use you guys to make t-shirts?" Like this guy was using what we were doing to
Yeah.
create an opportunity for himself. Is
Yeah.
basically what it came down to.
Yeah.
In the
Yes.
process, the Keanu Reeves agent said, "Okay, this is a scam. So now we're associated with a scam, and we get a cease and desist from using Keanu Reeves." Now, because of the situation that I explained in the beginning, where the people who are in charge of crypto are sometimes not very smart, on the website, our Keanu Inu stuff said, "In order to meet Keanu Reeves and have Keanu Reeves represent our company, we want to give to charities." And we basically laid out the scene of the crime
Yeah.
of using someone's likeness against ourselves in so many ways. And so that led to a couple days before the event, we had this sudden flurry of activity. And there's somebody else involved in the whole process who's in the background who I won't say anything about, but she helped us figure out all of this stuff that was going on. And this guy was trying to make this happen. He legitimately was trying to make something happen, but he had screwed it up so badly that all he could do was kind of get Max Sean, who, by the way, had COVID and had just had a stroke.
Ooh,
So he was not he was not in any shape or condition to do the event or anything that would help this token at any point. So then, we knew at that point that everything was just going to get crazy, that people were going to dump, and that this was it. Now, going back to the original problem, which this kind of brings some of this full circle, Shiba, the contract was kind of based on Shiba and Kishu and all of these other tokens. Sorry about that.
it's all right.
Uh, and the issue was that there's no marketing wallet. Like these guys put reflections together, and they made reflections so that you could all get some tokens and stuff like that, because that's a convenient way to keep adding holders to your
Yeah,
token. Like, it's
yeah,
not a convenient way to invest. It's a convenient way to show that you're giving back to people by letting them have some of that reflection. But the end result is you increase your holders um, through a trick,
yeah.
because all the dust wallets are still holding, and it looks like holders, and then you can brag that you have 20,000 people when you really have like 15,000 active. So
Mhm.
all of that stuff started happening. There's no marketing budget. They had literally given their last dollars to this guy who ended up scamming them, and at that point, they called a meeting and told us, guys, we have nothing left. And by the way, even though we have nothing left, we also have a cease and desist, which says that we cannot use the name Keanu anymore. And then, of course, we told everybody, and the chat went crazy. And they were like, how could you not be able to use it? That's crazy. That's insane. Like, you're not even Keanu Reeves, blah, 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 blah. And they didn't know in the background, like, we had used not his likeness, but we had used that we wanted to meet him on the website, and just everything that you could possibly do wrong.
Yeah,
That's what we were doing.
yeah.
And I assume I didn't help it, because some of my thumbnails at the beginning were pictures of Keanu Reeves as a dog or something like that, to try to get people interested in the YouTube videos. But there was just so much going on like that ended right there. Then there was a cascade of sell at that moment, and as soon as we told, I sold everything,
Mm,
and I got out. And I think, like, and here's the weird part for me. I think at that point, my bag, which was I bought in, by the way, with $200, so I was always up no matter what.
yeah.
Um, I sold out, and I made $1,900 off of it when I sold, and then it cascaded all the way down, and it went down so badly that I said, you know what? I wonder if people would buy this as a dip, because they're seeing a massive sell off. So then I
Yeah.
bought in, and I bought in like 6 times what I ever had before, and it doubled in a few moments. So then I had close to $5,000. So I ended up with 5 grand out of it. And that really got me started on all of the other stuff that I was doing.
Wow. I saw the late part I saw was the announcement, we're gonna get out of the exchanges. So if you got stuff in the
Yeah.
exchanges, you need to get it out of
Yep.
there as quickly as possible. And ironically, of course, it's still on L Bank and people are still trading it on L Bank, which I thought was rather comical.
Mhm.
Um, because they're actively trading it. Like we're not talking about dead in the water. People are actively trying to
Yep.
do basically get some price movement to get people to buy in so that they can take at least a little bit of profit out of it. How did this what I heard of the Matrix wallet come into play with this whole business?
Well, that was an exchange, really. It was really just our matrix swap. It was not
Mm,
going to be a wallet. It was just going to be an exchange. And, a lot of people didn't, we're still at the foreground of wallets and stuff like that, and functionality and dApps. So like I was showing people how to make a dApp in your Coinbase wallet or your MetaMask wallet. So you could just use the matrix swap, and we used MATREX,
yeah.
the Matrix Exchange, which I thought
Mm,
was a cool name. That was my idea, by the way.
mm,
But we came up with it, and then we were just kind of attaching it to like MetaMask wallet and Coinbase wallet and stuff. So you go in, you flip over to another page, then you click Matrix at the bottom, and then you would swap your tokens.
yeah.
That's really what it came down to.
Yeah.
That was
The
all it was.
basically the thing that every token's doing now, essentially.
It, that's the problem with the industry, and that's why this meme token verse is going to struggle. And I'm not sure how it plays out at the end, but I think that it leads to the metaverse and the rise of the metaverse, which we really haven't seen yet. But
Yeah.
I think we're going to see this market start to really suffer and decline because people are waking up to don't invest in things that have no value or when you can't see the value in it. So I think that
Right.
the meme tokens are going to start dying that horrid death soon.
Yeah.